Hi, I'm Matt Hopkins.
And I'm Kali Mattheus, and welcome to the Final Cut Film Review.
Now, this is sort of the beef of the show. This is where we're actually going to do an in-depth review of film, which this week is The Dark Knight Rises, a big film from Christopher Nolan and the end of the Batman trilogy.
Absolutely, we come to this really nice, I think, ending where, the first one, we got that nice intro, we learned a little bit of a backstory. The second one, we had this chaotic, crazy character come in.
Examining the motives and the sides of the different characters in the Batman universe, that movie was fine. You can't deny that.
That one was a wild ride. This one, we come in, it's a little more calculated feeling.
Yeah, it's different in its themes hugely, and I'm really glad because I guess a lot of people were worried that it wouldn't hold up to Dark Knight, which is definitely a decent point. But what Nolan actually decided to do was go a little bolder and make a new kind of movie from both of the previous ones. Dark Knight Rises is an entirely different animal altogether, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the Dark Knight Rises, it goes back to the beginning of Batman Begins. It goes back to that feeling of the Caped Crusader, whereas the second one was more mob mentality. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that it makes that connection to the first one. It diversifies itself from the second one in that manner. And I like that we have new additions in the cast and with the characters to this movie. I thought that those additions were perfect to give that ending punch to the series.
Every single one. Let's talk about the new villain for this series, Bane. As we all know, the last villain was the Joker, played marvelously by Heath Ledger. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
And Bane is a much different type of villain from that. The Joker had a run of insanity, sort of. He was a very disorganized type of villain, and sort of like a monstrous, like a more terrifying type, whereas Bane is very calculated, almost in a businessman-like manner, but he's definitely not a businessman.
Exactly. I think Tom Hardy does a spectacular job. A lot of people were concerned, can I even understand what he's going to be saying with that mask on his face? But for the most part, I understood every word.
Yeah.
And he just sort of had this snarkiness about him, where he's like, oh, I know I'm good.
And he just had this incredible swagger and confidence that we hadn't really seen from the other villains.
The scariest thing about this guy is the fact that he's more realistic than the Joker. The Joker is, this would be sort of freaking and very terrifying if this happened. But Bane has that more humanistic, gruesome, just you look at him and you know, brute strength. You see it. I like the fact that they actually made him very intelligent. They made him very maniacal, but at the same time still had what you would think a pretty good grip on reality.
Mm-hmm. So there's two sides to Catwoman that you pretty much have to get to play the character. You have to get the Heart of Gold side, where she sort of has a soft spot for Bruce Wayne, and then the other side where she's just sort of slinky and a cat burglar and just doesn't really let anything get in her way and always just has some devious way to get out of any situation. And Hathaway just nailed both of those.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people's concerns are probably, oh, well, she's from The Princess Diaries, and oh, she's been in this. But I think she sort of brings the Valentine's Day character of having, that sort of sexy kind of voice going and sort of this sex appeal. I think she brings that to this character and makes it great.
John Blake, the lieutenant police officer who Callie is a bit smitten.
I like him a lot. He's that good-hearted boy that, he's a cop, heart-to-heart cop.
And that's enough right there, but the actions you see him take throughout the movie, this is the guy I think a lot of people would want to be.
Absolutely.
If they were in this film universe.
I think he's the closest touch to humanity in this film. I think that, he has a connection with, once he was an orphan, so he goes and he helps out at an orphanage and just, he's very curious. He's very curious about everything. He's wanting to go and be a detective. He also has a bit of an unspoken bond with Batman.
Yeah, he definitely feels that there's something there. There is a bit of a relation to something that's going on in our society right now in this script. And it wasn't made intentional. Christopher Nolan says that the Occupy movement actually came about after he wrote the script, but you can't deny the presence of this this feeling of the gap between the high class, rich society and the middle class. This huge gap that's widening even today. The people of Gotham, these elites, these people have never really been taken to task. It's always been the police officers and the government. But finally, Bane is sort of going after this elite directly.
Yeah, there's definitely just weird, eerie connection, and I think Christopher Nolan slightly got a little frightened that, wow, this actually sort of came to light in a sense, in reality. And I like the fact that this one shows more of the citizens of Gotham. It shows more of middle class, it shows some of the lower class, and it brings, you know, the cops and the average day people into light more. And I like that. I like that we actually feel like we're not just in Bruce Wayne's bubble anymore. We can reach past that and out of that now.
I still did not get enough of the everyday people. I feel like this often with large films like this, these blockbusters, that it's not going to be cinema verite, really. It's not going to be like that, but I just wish that someday maybe we'd be able to merge those two styles of film together. There have been touches of it throughout. There was a lot of it mentioned in Batman Begins with Bruce's conversations with his father. There was a pivotal scene in The Dark Knight, the last part of Joker's ultimate plan, that really did hinge on what people were willing to do, and I thought that brought it up pretty well. But I still, to the end of the series, never really had the moment where I was like, okay, those are the people of Gotham. These are the people that are affected by all of this. I'm actually willing to say personally that this is my favorite out of the three Batman films.
I think so too. I think that this one only has a little bit of a step up above the second one, just because I like how scary Bane is. I like how much the humanity of mankind has been played in this. I like that it hits home a little more.
I think anyone watching this film, especially fans of Batman, will be incredibly satisfied with this idea.
I know when I went to go and see it, we actually went to see it on the same night. We were at the same showing, and I just remember people clapping and cheering for the ending.
And I love when that happens at a film, you know.
I see it as one of those movies that any person can enjoy. Yeah, you don't want to expose your kids to too much violence, but I think this is a movie that everyone can have fun with.
Indeed. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5 on our rating scale.
I actually would do the same, just because of what I stated before. You know, I think that this one has a little bit of that extra punch that you need. If we could do a 4.75, I would actually like that.
But on the other hand, let's stick with the 4.5.
We'll stick with the 4.5, I think, yeah. This has been it for this segment of the Final Cut Film Review. Thank you for watching again. And, continue to follow us. We'd love to hear back from you guys on our blog. Also, we're available where you're watching us right now, wkyt.com. And hopefully you'll join us again.
I'm Matt Hopkins.
And I'm Kali Mattheus.
And this has been The Final Cut. Thanks for watching.